blessings, and welcome to the Path to Freedom. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and as always, um, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for showing up. I want to thank you for participating, for choosing to spend a moment in expanding your consciousness and raising your vibration in a moment of releasing, letting go of that which no longer serves, so that the new, the greater, the grander who and what you are may emerge, which is why we're here on this planet, and which is the sole purpose of life. So I was having a conversation yesterday with an individual, and this individual gave voice to experiencing anxiety and frustration over thought forms that kept coming back. Thought forms of and experiences of fear, of loneliness, of having to do this work alone, and of lack and scarcity. And we were having a conversation around this, and I was able to share with her that in no moment are we ever alone. We may be by ourselves in doing this work and walking this path, and particularly in the beginning, when we begin to walk this path of freedom, we might experience a sense of being alone, in the sense that perhaps not many of our friends or family are joining us on this path. So there may be an experience of us being alone in the human realm, but in the spiritual realm, we're never alone, never ever alone. Which means that whatever we are facing, and this individual, they shared that in the morning when they wake up, certain thought forms and certain experiences just flood them, just flood over them, and they have and a battle sort of begins with them wrestling with these thought forms and these emotions to overcome them. And this individual shared that it is a battle, and sometimes they quote unquote win that battle, and sometimes they quote unquote lose that battle, but it is a battle. And so I invited this individual to not take it upon themselves to engage in this battle, but to bring it all to the source of all, the source of who and what we are, the source of every single experience, the source of every single emotion, the source of every single condition and circumstance, to bring this conundrum, to bring this challenge, to bring this wrestling match to that source, which is spirit, which is God. Because we can always lean into God. You may have heard the track that I recorded with the title Having a Casual Conversation with God, which simply invites us to whenever we have a moment in between, whenever we have a moment when we're not engaged in anything that requires our conscious attention, we can lean into speaking to God as though God was our best friend. Or we can, if you don't like the word God, which I absolutely love, we can use the word the universe, we can use the word infinite intelligence, or divine love, or infinite unified field, or divine matrix, or energy, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But we are so wise to lean into, to lay our burdens, to lay our lives in the loving hands of God. And now I know that when I'm speaking now, it sounds as though we are here and God is somewhere else. A man perhaps is a man in the sky, or an external deity that we can bring ourselves to. That's not at all. That is the duality of language, but that's not how it is at all. But God is who and what we are. Just like the wave and the ocean are always one, the wave could not ever be if it wasn't for the ocean. The sunbeam would not ever be if it wasn't for the sun. And in that same sense, we and God are one. We are unique, perfect, whole, complete emanations, expressions of spirit. We're spirit we're spirit doing itself, being itself, expressing itself in, as, and through us. So we're always one. We're always in a state of absolute oneness with spirit. But as we have our mind and we have the free will to turn our attention toward whatever we wish to turn our attention toward, or whatever we are pulled to turn our attention toward, we oftentimes lose that conscious connection. We're not ever separated, but we lose the conscious connection with the source, with the one mind, the whole. And perhaps you're hearing our cat, the prince, that's his name, and he's in complete agreement. He wants to join into this conversation. He's meowing in the background. He wants to get into this room and be part of this beautiful field that we are creating here. But he gets to stay out for today. He gets to sit out. So just as I was sharing my friend that when they wake up in the morning, rather than having this wrestling match, rather than engaging in this battle, trying to overcome these thought forms, trying to overcome these emotions and these fears, they can place them in the loving hands of God. Lean into that conversation. Hey God, like I do. I usually open up with saying, hey God, it's me. So if I was that individual, this is how I would have that conversation. I would wake up, I would become aware that, there's this pit of anxiety in my belly, or my stomach is full of knots, of fear knots. So I take you to spirit. Hey God, this is me. I'm having this experience. I'm experiencing a lot of fear right now. I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety right now. I know that you are all that there is. I know that you are good, therefore everything that is in my life, therefore my whole life is good, but I'm still experiencing these. So please help me. Help me release my attachment to these stories. Help me break free from the sense of identification with these beliefs, these experiences. And I would go on having this conversation until the release has happened, until the attachment is broken, until I become the observer, not one with, but I become the observer of these thought forms. I become the observer of these emotions. And we never have to do anything alone by ourselves. But we're always invited. We need to take the first step. We need to open the door for God to come in. But we're always invited, and God is always there whenever we lean in, whenever we seek spirit in any kind of way. Spirit is always there. I don't know if it's in the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita, but it says that God is closer than a neck vein, closer than our breath, closer than our heartbeat. So there is no separation here. So we can easily and effortlessly lean into spirit with anything. Spirit doesn't judge or condemn or has favorites. So whatever we bring to God, it is all brought into a loving space, a loving field. God is a loving presence, having no conditions, having no expectations, having no judgments, having no opinions, having no perceptions around what should and should not be. But God is love. God is love. Just like the sun is love, just like the rain is love. The sun shines on the just and the unjust. The rain shines on, the rain rains on anyone in the field of the rain. regardless of our last name, regardless of what we have done or did not do, or are thinking to do. Even individuals that have been avenues of great turmoil on this planet, even they were under the sun. Even they were under the rain clouds. So the sun shone on them as the sun shines on all beings, on all of this planet, regardless of skin colors and sexual orientations or amount of money in the bank. Or God doesn't care about any of that. All that God cares about is whether or not we are consciously seeking our communion with Spirit. And whenever we do, God is right here at our beck and call to serve. Because God is always for itself. God cannot ever be against itself. There is no no in God. There's no denial in God. There's no delay in God. There is only an affirmative yes. So God is always for itself, always seeking to be revealed in ever greater and grander ways in, as, and through each and every single one of us. So it is in the highest interest of Spirit that we keep growing, that we keep unfolding, that we keep shining our lights ever more brightly, ever more expansively, that we grow in love, that we become ever expanding avenues and conduits and channels for love to flow through, for peace to flow through, for harmony to flow through, for abundance to flow through. All of that which God is seeking to be revealed in, as, and through us in ever greater and grander ways. We're not separate from it ever, but all of that which God is, we are. So the truth and the essence of who and what we are is the truth and the essence of who and what God is. But we need to move through these thought forms. We need to allow for healing to happen. And healing does not mean that we fix something that is broken, that we mend something. It simply means that we remove the obstacles, that which is covering up the light, the love, the beauty that we are. That is what healing is. And it is the will of Spirit that we shine as brightly as we possibly can, that we are as loving as we possibly can, that we are as kind as we possibly can. So God is always for us, sourcing, fueling, funding us, sustaining, maintaining us, guiding and leading and moving us, making sure that whatever we need in any given moment, whatever we need in that moment to keep moving forward, to keep allowing for greater and grander expressions of who we are, that we have it. That we have it. All of our needs are met. Every single tool that we need, they are at our disposal when we need them. It is our responsibility, it's our mandate to use them. Prayer, sacred study, high-minded fellowship, meditation, sacred silence, sacred service, all of these tools, they are available to us, but we need to use them. Just like any carpenter needs to actually pick up the hammer or the screwdriver or whatever tool they need to pick it up from the toolbox and use it. So do we need to use it. And one of the most powerful tools that we can ever have and use is having a conversation to God, is leaning into Spirit to support us, to embrace us, to carry us in times of need. So that's my invitation to us all, to release the perception, the belief that we are alone, that we need to do this by ourselves, and open ourselves up for God to move in, for love to move in, for peace to move in. Thank you so much for tuning in, for participating. Until the next time we meet, I absolutely bless all of our days and all of our ways. Much love.